Okay, let's start again. Let's start again. Okay. So here, it's about chapter 2, traits, behavior, and relationship. So before I start, let me briefly go over the outline of this part. Chapter 2 is the beginning of the part 2. Part 2 explores basic research perspectives and that involved during the more stable time, maybe as afterward generation. It's when rational management approaches were effective. So this part includes research perspective of traits, behavior, and contingency theory. Before I start, let's go over the outline together. So first, this one, the traits and the strengths and behavior approach and individualized leadership entrepreneurial traits and behavior. That's basically what we will go over in today's presentation. So let's start. You guys all know Michelle, right? Oh, it's not Shannon's younger sister, but the First Lady, Michelle Obama. Once Michelle attended a late night talk show, The Tonight Show, a gorgeous outfit. Then the then host Jay Leno guessed it might have cost 6 or 7 grand. That means maybe 6,000 or $7,000. However, it's J. Crew Ensemble. You might not be familiar with J. Crew, but here's the price of that ensemble. It costs less than 500 bucks in total, not including his scarping. That means her high heel shoes and jewelry. I mean, 500 500 outfit is not normal for $500 outfit is not normal for us, but with that price, we could only buy a pair of trousers in some luxury brands like Coach or Gucci, or just a single button and of some custom-made gown. So what is that brand favored by former First Lady? The answer might be related to the man behind J. Crew, Millard S. Drexler, who is known for his control freak micromanagement. What is micromanagement? Based on what I research, it's like you're the team leader, but you have to go over every decision with your boss. So your boss is micromanaging. You can assume when your mother is teaching you how to cook and your father is teaching you how to drive, they are ready to take hold of position of you, and they're ready to grab the knife and wheels when they think you are not capable. There's not much trust. As a manager, his management ranges from auditing new employees to deciding on details of design. He has one good representation of strongman leadership style. So great man leadership style can make companies stand out for its leaders' characteristic. On the other hand, because it's so firmly tied to its characteristic of leaders, the company would be somehow restricted by its leader. Especially in fashion industry, one style could go viral in short time, but be easily replaced by another. So at the beginning of this chapter, the author just raised a question. Is strongman leadership still working in today's scenario when most of the study against this idea? So in early age of the early stage of research, they assume that leaders are born to be leaders. They're destined to be leaders. So researchers have been trying to find greatest common divisor from this leader's personal trait.我们数学学过那个叫什么最大公约数，就是他们最相似、最多、最相似的东西。But in this chapter, we're going to dig out some leadership in two-dimension traits and the behavior of a leader. So just keep this question in mind. Leader is born to be a leader, leadership trained. So I pulled this sentence from our textbook, and I believe it could somehow define what we're going to present today. Each individual have a unique set of qualities, characteristics, and strengths to bring to leadership style, leadership role. Okay, let's start. So the first one is it's a trait approach. Like what I said above, early stage of people, they believe that some traits are like gifts from God. It's genetic endowments. Without those traits, people cannot be effective leader. Many researches have been conducted during early stage, but there are only few studies support this idea. Moreover, they only found weak relationship between personal traits and leader success. So the good news is early efforts contribute to this field do not count for nothing. Study did a literature review of more than 100 studies, and his review indicated that first, some traits are of more importance in given situation. Like in entrepreneurial situation, leaders with initiative will be more effective than those who don't. Second, it did find some characteristic overlap in several studies, like what are we gonna present, like drive, confidence, and this kind of traits. However, this happened only in 1948, and he has cautioned that the second finding is also restricted to situation, like confident and like yes, just like maybe optimism. It's very important in military because you have to raise their morale. But maybe optimism it's not very important in some more organized organization because you just follow the rules and follow this SOP. So next is here's a small story. It's about leaders' bookshelf. Do you think in our society these good guys could never say no? How do you think this? How do you think that this good guy who give without taking? How do you think of them? I mean, they might be labeled as weak, fool. They are targeted to be taken advantage from. Somehow negative, right? But in this recommended book, the author categorized leader into 3 groups: giver, matcher, and receiver. He applied scientific researches and real-life stories. He found giver as a one ended up being the most successful among the 3. So here's one quote I like very much, and he said, focuses attention and energy on making a difference in others' life. And success might be followed as a byproduct. It's an interesting view. You can watch yourself. And here's the first pair of traits, important traits: optimism and cheerful attitude. And confidence. I mean, optimism and cheerful attitude have drawn researchers' attention in recent years. We found optimism is a more common characteristic found in top managers. Leaders are meant to see the possibility among the most desperate situation, right? And notice here, its optimism can be trained. Yes, it can be trained. Because everyone is somewhat in between of extreme optimism and extreme pessimism. So we can be trained to move towards optimism. But for me, optimism is needed more in bad situation, because that's needed in general situation. Because if your company is not working at its best efficiency, and you have maybe forced optimism toward the future prospects, like during pandemic, in 2020, people are just saying it's gonna be the best year we are gonna have, but pandemic happened. So optimism, it's prohibited, forced, or just silly optimism is prohibited in most situations. Optimism, it's more to cheer your fellows up, not to fool them. So the second point is about self-confidence. Be careful, it's not one's arrogance. The concept is kind of ambiguous here. So from my standpoint, people can't make mistakes, and they will make mistakes, because almost always you don't get enough information when you're making a decision. But you have to. That's how real world works. I mean, in my personal experience, so it's very important but you have to, it's it just have to hang there. It doesn't mean you don't have to make decisions. So in my personal experience, if you doubt your decision, it will be equal to even more harmful than bad decision. People could feel that you're not confident. They will be less likely to follow you. It will be harmful, and it will definitely affect your next decision, and ruin the integrity in your group. But why confident, not arrogant? What's wrong with arrogance? You can't take the full credits of your decision because you don't know. If your decision works out, and take the credits. I love black and white decision, but a lot of time we're making decision in gray area. Everyone is telling someone something seems to be true, but only time to verify whether it's true or not, especially in today's scenario. The following decade will be featured by post-pandemic, economic recession, political and military tension, natural resources shortage, global warming, extreme weathers. So, I mean, from Genesis, I believe not much people have gone through such a situation. You can be racing against this bigger environment, but be honest, do you know the answer when you're making that decision? Is that because you're smarter, more experienced, more kind, you put more efforts? I believe many leaders, they have them all, but they all failed at pandemic in the past few years. So you just don't know. But it doesn't mean you don't need them. If we digitalize success, we should work our own, maybe 99%, but God is the other 1% that makes the composition. So why do you win? Sometimes you have just to humbly admit that you took the chance and win. That's why you should be humble. You never know whether your next decision will coincidentally correspond to God's will. So in short, take responsibility of each decision rather than be paralyzed into inaction when it went bad, and praise the Lord when it went well. And humbly and confidently make the next decision. Okay, here comes the next pair. Honesty and integrity. Today, we're building a tower of our own competence, but like, it might consist experiences and expertise, social skills, and we are building higher and higher. Honesty and integrity is like the foundation of our tower. It is a foundation that decides how tall and how long you can stand firmly. Today, with numerous business scandals and rampant grades, people today are more willing to welcome a leader with higher moral standards. Based on survey of 1.5 thousand managers, honesty top almost a desired value. When leaders are risking the boundary, they are also risking their followers' future prospect. Next, it's broad drive. Let me check whether I'm okay. Recording process. So drive is another essential trait that most successful leaders possess. Leaders should be motivated and have stamina in the long run. That enable them to initiate a new project, keep track of the project, and guide it to a successful completion. So long working hours is often criterion for drive, but as a part of in the lead, they also introduced Marisa Mayer, CEO of Chief Executive Officer of Yahoo. When she was working in Google, she routinely worked 100-hour weeks and occasionally pulled all-nighter. Soon after joining Yahoo as CEO, Mayer had her first baby and returned work 2 weeks after the delivery. That's crazy, but that's kind of the Western style of giving birth. When maybe they can have the next day, uh, when they give birth to a new child, the next day they might have ice cream. So it's way different concept of our 坐月子. So it's just different. Maybe they're more stronger. I don't know, but it's just different. So working 100 hours a week certainly isn't necessary for effective leadership. But all leaders must display drive and energy to be successful. One study of 600 executives by Hegel found that 75% of successful executive studies possess the characteristic of self-confidence and drive. The next part is know your strength. Question. Develop your weakness or your strengths. Choose one. The answer is develop your strengths. So we have a wrong stereotype, like leader have learned it all. That like leaders have to know everything. They have to be experienced in all things. But according to the principle of scarcity and the comparative advantage in economic, you should produce what you have comparative advantage and trade with others that you have comparative disadvantage. So because every day our time and energy are limited, we have to choose. Good leaders recognize and hone their strengths while trusting and collaboration with others to make up their weak points. 知人善用. With further developments of each industry, there are many cross-industry information. Leaders actually need people to translate this information into what they can understand. In this generation, it's almost impossible for leaders in middle of big company to know every information themselves. Okay, the next is what are your strengths? Let's see the definition of strength first. A strength arises from a natural talent that has been supported and reinforced with the knowledge and skill talents. Talents can be thought of as innate traits and naturally recurring pattern of thoughts, feeling, and behavior. After that, do you know what's your strengths and what's your talent? Me neither. It's important because you will be more motivated by what you like and you will not feel any pressure doing that. Like what Warren Buffett said, he loves investing and would do it for free. Imagine that, working for the rest of your life. The time you'll be spending on working will likely be more than the time with your spouse. You know, it's imagine that working for the rest of their life and with the, you know, girls and boys. Imagine that. If you married a guy or a girl you dislike and you have to spend time with them the rest of life, it's gonna be horrible and I don't know. But so be careful when choosing your life. When be careful when choosing your work because you don't like it. You may likely to get divorced with your work and or have cold war with it. But like marriage, we cannot just say divorce. We have children, we have all these things. And in the certain age of your life, you have mortgage, you have children to, you have to pay their tuition, you have many debts, and you have parents above, you have children below. You cannot say you just leave it. So when you are young, just be prepared and pursue for what you like. Matching strengths with roles. So there might be characteristics that all leadership possesses, but it is found that some characteristics are more suitable for specific leadership role. The author divided general leadership into three types. First, operational roles. That's a vertical role. That's what we might be most familiar in Asian hierarchical leadership style. Leaders among this range tend to be more arbitrary, assertive. They set goals and expect for good results. They're respected mainly because of their power and position. Second, collaborative role. It's more of a horizontal role. It includes people like project manager, matrix manager, and team leader. Their places are kind of awkward because they are leaders, but they don't have much power in their hands. They could rate each member's performance, but they cannot directly say, you're fired. They're respected through their personal mm, influence. Okay, the third one is adversary role. People in this role only provide guidance and support to other people and departments in the organization. They are most from departments as legal, finance, and human resources. They are not decision maker. Rather, they just provide their knowledge and insights for decision maker. They are qualified by great people skills and ability to influence others through communication, knowledge, and personal persuasion. But their knowledge should be grounded by highly moral standard. Otherwise, Enron fraud might happen again. Okay, finally, it's behavior approach. When we talk about traits, we just initial and intuitively think about something like it's inborn and cannot be acquired through effort. So in this part, we're going to discover whether behavior would affect one's leadership and whether behavior could be intentionally trained. First, automatic and democratic behavior versus democratic. How does autocratic leaders like? I mean, they're arbitrary, control freak, high pressure, and coercive. What about democratic leader? Some adjective or nouns? Yes, they're open, they're willing to listen. They emphasize feeling. They have compassion, and you might feel respected from this kind of leader. There is an interesting finding from study conducted by Kurt Lewin from Iowa University. He found subordinates under autocratic leadership, their performance decreased as long as their leader is absent. Have you gone through 自习课? Here is a video. In junior high school and high school, when you feel absolute zero around you, nobody is talking at once. You just know someone's coming. But when your teacher is gone, chaos starts again. On the contrary, people under democratic way, their performances in their events in their leader is absent. Plus, people in democratic group show less hostility than those under autocratic leadership. But why is that? Because the leader gets everybody involved in decision-making process. He had already empowered his subordinate essentials for making decisions. And people under democratic leadership are more motivated by self-discipline and respected to the leader rather than pressure from the leader. This study might seem like there are only two types of leader. However, in the later study, people find leaders are not located in the spectrum with two ends, like only one line, and the extreme is automatic and autocratic, and another extreme is democratic. It's kind of combination. It's leaders, but it's a mix of autocratic and a democratic. It's a continuum, like what this picture illustrates. So here is a leadership between Warren Buffett and Jack Harnett. Jack Harnett, former president of D.L. Rogers Corporation and franchise owner of 55 Sonic driving restaurants. He is a good representation of autocratic leadership. Amazingly, it works well in the fast food restaurant. But on the contrast, Buffett is an excellent example of democratic leader with numerous companies under his leadership. He emphasized communication, mutual trust, and respect and trusting working and nurturing the work environment. He lets the manager of various companies run their own show, believing they are ones who best know how to do it. So, discussion. There are almost two extreme leadership, but they all succeed in their business. Let's talk about why that happened. Okay, here is another scenario. It's I will say in class, and the conclusion is chaos choose based on the given situation. Behaviors could also be adjusted based on the given situation. Okay, the next is the rest of this. The rest of 2/3 is very long, but just keep one thing in mind. It's all about through studies, and generally they're kind of talking the same thing. Okay, so first one is Ohio State studies. Researchers narrowed nearly 2,000 leaders' behaviors into 115 definitive leaders' behaviors, and later was categorized into two groups. First, consideration. Generally, how leaders care about and respect about their subordinate. Second, initiating structure. In short, leaders task-oriented level. Because this behavior are not interrelated, so people can be both high consideration and low initiative and structure, vice versa. So extensional studies of this also found considerate supervisor generate more satisfaction and less voluntary turnover， 就是离职率会更低一点 of their subordinates. Whereas structuring supervisor lead to more productivity. Have a humble leader that might be sometimes less productive because is too humble to make decisions. So people, there are also study includes aircraft commanders and university department head. It is found that leaders with high score in both are more effective, vice versa. 哎，默认扬声器怎么又换了 Okay. So the next one is University of the study of University of Michigan studies. So University of Michigan is also curious about the behavior of leaders, but they took a direct way by comparing behaviors between effective and ineffective leaders. How to define define a leader's effectiveness by the productivity of their subordinates. Wait a minute. 不是吧？不是吧？ Okay. Okay. Over time, the Michigan researchers established two types of leadership behavior, each time consisting two dimensions. First is employee-centered leaders. They focus on human need of their subordinate. Two dimensions of this, because I will just read very fast because it's very similar. I think the two dimension of this types are leader support and interaction, facilitation, and leaders of this type are like those consideration in Ohio study. They care, support their subordinate, and facilitate positive interaction to minimize conflicts among them. On the other hand, job-centered leaders, they are goal-oriented. They guide their subordinate to meet schedule, goal emphasis, and work facilitation are two dimensions of this type. Job-centered leaders, just as referred, they emphasize results. They push their subordinates to achieve certain goals on time. But till now, although we can say that Ohio study and Michigan study, we can't really say they're the same, but at least alike. Even we can say they're not the same, but at least alike. What distinguish Michigan study is that Michigan study claims job-centered and employee-centered style are exclusive. It's like red pill and blue pill in the matrix. You can only choose one. However, it turns out to be wrong in the leadership rate because here comes the third study, resulting in another situation, leadership rate, read. So it's based on the two study above, and it's kind of combined to formal studies and put them together in two-dimension axis. And basically, they think concern of people and concern for result could get along with each other. You can explore more yourself. He have some very interesting terms like country club management. So the last one is about theory of a high leader. We could draw several conclusions here for the study above. So first, it's not hard to find that all these three representative behavior studies somehow fell into people-oriented and result-oriented. So it's generally two broad categories. And it's mostly true in the other studies. So, and second, we could find high leader in real world. So it's not hard to say two categories are not against each other. This leader somehow, but they are not born to be high leader. They are trained to be who they are. Nobody could be kind of high leader from beginning. So let me ask you again, why do we learn leadership? Because leadership is trained, not born. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, and we will show no interest in this leadership subject. Okay, 2.4, individualized leadership. Traditional traits and behaviors theory thinks that a leader adopts a general leadership style that is used with all group members. Individualized Leadership is a study against this concept. The study analyzed leaders' interaction pattern with each subordinate. It aimed to find out if their specific leadership style corresponded to different subordinates. Development in this area is illustrated. The first period is vertical dyad linkage model. I think the best way to describe this VDL model is friendship. Nearly all of us have experienced or seen a group of friends. Among those people, there are always a person who decides what to eat, what to wear, and what to do, and whom to rebel also. You just know he or she is a center, a core of this group. But so let's refer to the person at the core of this group. Although there are, guess, assume there are maybe 5 people in this group. You can see some near the core, but some are in the edge. But how do you know? You just pay attention to how they walk. When a group of people walking, there's always someone walking side by side with the core, but someone chasing behind them. You can't tell exactly how this hierarchy happens, but maybe they can't afford the same clothes, maybe they do bad things together, or the core just like them. That's the same situation in leadership. Although in the same group department, some people could cater to what their boss like. That's in-group relationship. Some don't, and they're like the marginalized in your friend group. That's out-group relationship. You can call it leadership or human nature. To be honest, at first there's a Di. When I first saw him, I don't like him. Maybe it's because his facial expression, how to say, it's kind of proud. But and you've done the but that's is that all? I don't know. It's very subtle. So if in the future your boss doesn't like you and you've done your best, don't be upset. It's not your fault. And if you are a leader and you don't like a specific subordinate, just get to know him. Because later I get to know this Di. I shall say it's not that bad. It's kind of cute. So the second one is about leader-member exchange. The second period leader-member exchange LMX model. Sorry, LMX model briefly answered why leaders are so like specific subordinates. Like they are from the same background, share the same religion, value, or interest. And they do find people with in-group relationship tend to have more satisfaction and performance than those of our relationship. That's not hard to understand. When your boss like you, you get promoted, quickly higher salary. That's not bad, right? Okay, the last part is building partnership. It's the core of this report. And at first, I used friendship to describe individualized leadership. However, there's a flaw of that metaphor. That is, mostly a friendship is do not work for tangible benefits. That's not because money, I mean, school friendship. But we do in the company, your interrelationship because he has power and he can decide how many salary you can get. However, sarcastically, with some modification, it still works. Anybody want to try? Just add something to the friendship. Give me an adjective. Okay, business graduate, social. Well, all work. Why is that? Because you don't like someone, but still, when you graduate, friendship become complex. So here is the main part of partnership, building. Maybe you don't like someone, still you can build positive relationship with him after training. Again, that's why we learn leadership, because it could be trained that we are interested. So we are interested in. Okay, here comes the last part, entrepreneurial traits and behavior. It refers to initiating a business venture, organizing the necessary resources, and assuming the associated risk and rewards. As an entrepreneur, you hold a different perspective than leaders in some position, like maybe dean of financial or CFO or not CFO, maybe team leader. Last week we were assigned to watch the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher. There, the scene impressed me most. When Argentina Marine invaded British Iceland, in front of several generals, highest military leaders, Thatcher, she just said firmly, "Think it." That's charismatic, I have to admit. And it could be also delineate real situation entrepreneurs face on a day-to-day basis. They are always facing the unknown. They are dealing with field out of their expertise. Still, they distribute resources, making decisions, and take responsibility. But so to be a qualified entrepreneur, what do I need? Vision and dissatisfaction with the present. In early 21st century, when gas car grabbed the dominant position, nobody thought about electric car. However, Elon Musk started his layout in electric car. It's a smart move, but also the only move Elon Musk could do by that time. Because if he wanted to build a car, he could neither triumph in machine against brands like Rolls-Royce, nor could it beat car brands like so many. In one sentence, think radically and move rationally. Ability to get people on board. That's what we learn. Collaborate people. You need people to achieve the vision you want. Business venture, especially new startups, usually could not pay according to individuals' contribution to this new rising star. They need cash flow. They need money. They must pour money into many places. So salary is not what your subordinates work for. Then how do you motivate them? How should you communicate the value of the work? You know how Steve Jobs deal with it? You are making a difference. You are changing the world. And textbook also said flexibility, openness to feedback, and ability to learn and adopt, persistent and execution. For this two parts, the textbook did a great job. You can just browse yourself. So personal thinking. Studying entrepreneurial trait is another important leadership area we should pay significant attention to, not only in this leadership, but also in marketing, finance, and many other business subjects. Because not all of us will go into Global 500 or big companies on the textbook, like Paul Zhang. You started your own business. It's like another world that we learn today. You might also find real business world is nothing like what textbook tells you. So you should internalize what you learned today. Let's wrap up with one sentence. Leadership is learned and it's to be learned. After you finish this chapter or even this book, it's not the end of the leadership learning, but the beginning. Thank you.